That's dynamic, isn't it, Adria?
It's so beautiful. I'm sort of mesmerized by it. Like it's and then at the end when the MMH Press logo was up, I was remembering when we designed the new logo. And
Yes. Yes. Do you remember that? And that was when Truitt 1 and 2 were coming out,
yeah.
celebrating all of
Probably,
those.
yeah.
Those
I think
and
Quantum was
Jess
coming out.
Southey, Jess Southey, she was the one who designed the logo, and we just fell in love with it. You know, the
Yeah,
big
it's just so beautiful. I love it.
It's gorgeous. So we're finally here, Adria. Book
Finally.
3.
Yes. 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 And happy May Day, happy Lay Day, happy Truitt Day. It's great. I'm thrilled.
Yes.
I certainly didn't think I was going to actually publish Truitt 3, as you well know.
Yes.
So I'm really happy that that all worked itself out. I definitely had a big giant pause where I really had to reestablish my foundation as an author and what I was doing, and could I do it amidst some other things that I was experiencing. So nothing terrible, just a moment in time where I hit a crossroads of going left or right. I went left. That did not work out super well.
Yes.
But then I turned right. So
It's a detour, isn't it? Especially when it's destiny, you know?
yeah.
And you and I know Truitt, and she's not going to let you off the hook that easy, Adria.
Yes.
Can you share with our viewers a little bit about Truitt? Because she's a character, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a beautiful character. So Truitt, I don't want to do too big of a spoiler alert, but Truitt is the soul of a lovely young woman named Truitt Tucker, who's our protagonist, and Truitt Skye is her soul self. So it's a little bit of a spoiler alert, but it's okay because it's important to the overall context of the story.
Yeah.
And really, what I did was I kind of wanted to tell life in reverse order, right? Of this is how the soul works, and then this is the human experience with the soul. And I was really curious about it, and I wanted to be able to make it a fun way and also a positive way. I mean, most stories about quantum physics or souls or always have this sort of darkness to them, you know, and it's sort of like this scariness, and that it's bad, and that you should be afraid to die and afraid to this and afraid of your soul, and that's something that's only limited to the higher power, da 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 da. And I wanted to just ground all that. That didn't make any sense to me, and I wanted to have a view of life soul first. And
Yes.
what it's like to be and live soul first, because I think that when we can do that, life is really, really, really good, really good. And the whole notion, to me, my belief is that heaven is what we're doing on earth. Heaven is being in a body. Heaven is being in all the muck and gunk of life and triumphing and learning more and evolving more and doing it all over again and keep doing it and doing it, knowing that you have within you this soul, this positive space that's connected to all other souls, and they only know positive, they only know expansion, and they only want the best for you. It doesn't bother them in the least. In fact, I would say from my perspective, they cheer you on. The soul world is cheering you on when you hit a bump in the road and you have to pause and think your way through it and feel your way through it and live your way through it and love your way through it. So that's really Truitt goes to the city on the sea, which is based on the Hawaiian Islands and the tradition that and the myth that there's a city beneath the sea in the Hawaiian Islands that is giving it that palpable aloha, love, soul spirit that you feel when you're in the Hawaiian Islands, or at least I do.
That vibration.
That vibrate, yeah, right. So it's based on stories that I heard when I lived there and experienced that culture. And she doesn't want to be there. Like, she doesn't get it, right? And she doesn't understand life in the soul world, and that she's completely and totally always connected to her human world. And she just can't reconcile it. And also, she has a lot of responsibilities as a soul. She's got lots of jobs to do. She's the master of the world there, and she's really got to she's got a lot of work to do, and she doesn't want to do it. So
And that's the soul journey, though, isn't it? And you can see that right now with the shift in consciousness, where you can see that people are resistant to it. And life doesn't flow well whenever you're resistant to that type of, I suppose, evolution of spirit, because we're here to grow. We're here to evolve. We're not here to be stuck. You know, we're here
exactly.
to move forward. And some people choose to stay safe, and they're going to keep, things are going to keep coming up for them, isn't it, Adrea? And the way that you bring story into Becoming Truitt Skye, I have always said it's genius. It's genius how you bring quantum thinking, and you teach us all about quantum, things that you bring it down to a level that can be understood through story, and it's absolute genius. And I always said it's before its time, but it's actually not. It's time for everyone to open their minds to more, because when you do, the expansiveness of life happens, and you get to experience life on a whole different plane, and you get to go different places and experience different things and grow so much in that. And sorry, it excites me so much what you're teaching people, especially like this is a YA genre, so you're getting in when there's growth happening and opening the mind, and it's beautiful, it's informative, and so knowledgeable. Like, how did you do that? How did you make that happen?
Yeah. It's interesting. There was a lot of discussion around the age of the character when I first started writing it. And I did write it at a younger. Originally, Truitt was more in 12 years old. And my agent at the time said, you need to age her up so that you can go into the concepts that you want to go into in physics, because I was hiding all the science behind it. And what I did, just from a learning curve, it did take me a long time to get through it and get it right. Not only I have a full-time job and always have, but also because there was so much learning, and every time I learned a little bit more, then I needed to learn a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So it started with the notion of, you can't just die. You can't, like, we have to be, there's something that connects us all. There's something that, it always bugged me. And even as a young kid, I remember telling my mom, I think you have a soul and you're supposed to get all these lessons so that the next person that comes along doesn't have to learn as much as you did. Right? And so I always had that notion, even at a very young age. And the reason was that I experienced a lot of death as a kid. A lot of people I loved died, and tragic deaths. And then that continued. I am somebody that's experienced a lot of people that have died. And I just couldn't reconcile that
You question things and get curious about it.
I questioned the whole thing. I questioned the whole, like, heaven and hell. I questioned just the whole thing. Didn't make any sense to me. It just didn't. Yes. And so I started learning, and I started with trying to understand what a soul was. I didn't even know what a soul was. I had no idea. Nobody could, like, tell me, and still nobody can really tell you. Like, I was like, and I'm very, very, you know me, and people that know me know, I'm very factual. I'm very prove it. And I'm very scientific in my thinking. I'm very black and white in that sort of sense. So this was good for me because it made me have to expand into this place of not having proof, and not having, but just knowing it was true. Right. Yes. And so that's when people read Truitt, that's the one thing I hear almost every single time, which is, this is exactly what I think it works. This is exactly how I think it works. This is exactly how I think it works. That's what people say. Right. Yes. So there's something.
It's so resonative. It won't even come out, the word resonating or whatever. You know, that's the thing. You go, oh, yes. It's as if someone's affirming it to you.
Yeah. And so I did a lot of research on souls. I studied a lot of different religions. But I'm not really that, I don't know if the word is, it's not like, ghosty and, like, I couldn't make it
paranormal or anything.
Yeah, paranormal. Yeah, any of that. Like, I was like, no, this is fact. This needs to be fact-based. This needs to be, and as I kept going, and I kept studying and studying and studying, eventually I landed into metaphysics and metaphysics. And then once I had done a little bit in metaphysics, I wanted to actually understand the physics behind metaphysics. Right. Yes. So it's sort of, and it goes back to those times when science and religion and mysticism and spirituality weren't separated, right? That until the age of reason, that it was okay to be an astrologer and an astronomer.
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
They were in the same, right? There wasn't a separation. That came later in this age of reason that went for, made us all thinkers and prove it. And you had to have a hypothesis and prove your hypothesis. There wasn't, if you couldn't touch it and feel it, it didn't exist. And then came along some of these quantum scientists that said, you'll never be able to see it and you don't want to see it because if you saw it, we would all blow up, right?
Fear-mongering, isn't it?
Yeah, that led me to the Big Bang, right? To like how Earth was created. Like I went deep and I know you know me, so it doesn't scare me to just keep reading and keep going and keep going. And it just
go on the journey, guys. You're going to go, you're going to question things. You're going to resonate with things you never thought you'd resonate with, honestly. Yeah. But it's genius how you weave the story and weave the knowledge and all of the research. Like you read these books and you learn something new. You learn science behind, the quantum physics and all of the things that you talk about. You could read it 3 times and get different things out of it every single time.
Yeah. I've read it 20, 30 times editing it and I still get something out of it that it's, what happens when you write, like any other thing, you go into the zone and you're just doing it and you just, and so how I did it was a bunch of stop and starts, right? I would read it. If I didn't believe it, if it didn't resonate for me, I went back to the books and I went back and I studied more, whether that be that I was studying story. I mean, I studied story and how the steps of story and how story is formed, because that's how we communicate as human beings. We're always talking in story, whether we know it or not.
It's not just about writing books, isn't it? Not it.
No, it's not. It's about living your life because you are the hero of your life, living your own novel, or memoir or horror story, wherever you're at in your life, right? You're in it and it's a story and you can follow those steps of story and they will outline your life. And so all the great stories, all the great teachings come out of story, right? They come out of the Bible, The Alchemist, Star Wars, all the great sort of epics, which is where I didn't mean to do that. It just happened. Because I had this very dense information that I wanted to just put into a story. So you can read Truitt just as a little girl that is on an adventure or teenager that's on an adventure in the city on the sea, the Cave of Soul. Like you can read it however it hits you where you are. It's a very
where you're at that time.
Yes.
And you read it then, but you read it 5 years later as a different person and get something. And you go,
yes.
You read and you go, was that not in that book? Because I don't remember reading that before. Different things resonate with you. It's insane how you do it. And the thing is that you were writing book 3 and then you paused and then it called loudly, didn't it? It was just like Adrea came back into my inbox and it was like, yes.
Yeah, and and I didn't really realize at the time. I think I had started writing Truitt just before my dad died.
Yes.
And, my dad is a big part of these books. Without getting emotional.
Emotional.
And so, I mean, he's Ian. He is Ian Tucker. Yes. He is my dad is the basis for that character. And
an amazing person.
And my dad never read the books. So, they weren't. He's in them, but he didn't read them, and that's fine too. That wasn't my relationship with my dad. Wasn't about my career. So I don't think I realized how much that impacted me. Trying to finish it, but I did actually finish it. I finished it. I think I finished it in late 2021, if my memory serves. And we were going to release it spring of 2022.
Yes.
And then I couldn't, I couldn't go forward as an author because I couldn't reconcile the self-promotion. I couldn't reconcile the amount of work that I had to do in addition to what was becoming very demanding in my day job, which is that left turn that I took, thinking that I would do this, make this career move, and this career move would set me up and everything would be so much easier and la, 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 la. And that did not happen on any level.
It was a head decision.
It was definitely a head first, not a soul first decision. I knew it was wrong in the orientation for that new job. I was literally like, I have made the biggest mistake of my entire life.
You need to read Becoming Truitt Skye.
Exactly. I didn't listen. I did not listen. And really in many ways from a career perspective, I hit rock bottom, which was totally necessary in my journey as a person and this fluctuation. And I'm sure there's other people out there that have this too, where you've got this art and you've got this full-time job thing and you're always bouncing back and forth, and one makes money and one doesn't. And I needed to have it get so bad in that workday life, and it did, that I could say, I'm back. I'm not doing this anymore. I will not turn my back on you again, Truitt, or any other books or any other things that I want to do as a creative soul on this planet. So podcasts and retreats and workshops and so many wonderful things that are in the hopper. But I needed that. And because I know myself pretty damn well. And I know that I'm a big move. I have big things that happen. Like I don't do things super subtle. I'm not right. I either know.
You're a yes or a hell no person too, aren't you? You just know straight away.
Yeah.
It's like,
hell yes, hell no. And I should always listen. And I honestly, like, I do lots of lectures on being the best person and being the hero of your life. And I always say, don't turn your back on your inner knowing. But I do it too. We all do it. It's the whole part of the human experience, and Truitt does it basically on every page.
Yes, she brings us on an adventure, and she helps us to accept us being ourselves, and it's okay,
exactly.
Yep. And we're not going to give away the stories because you will go on adventures. You go to different dimensions. You go to different world, within yourself. You'll go to different places within yourself, but whenever you come back with the beautiful life force that is getting Truitt 3, you just went at it to edit. Like, editing for an author is a big job. Writing the book is big, but editing is a bigger job, and you are an amazing editor. So it's a different cap altogether for people watching who don't understand the writer's process, isn't it?
Yes. And I'll say that really I always say this, that it's only my book until the first edit. Right. And because I'm also a different person, and by that time you've seen it and a couple other people have probably seen it. And now it's our book, right? It's just, it's never mine again. So the first draft is it's sacred. It's literally sacred. And just to give a few tips on that, I never go back. I write all the way start to finish. I do not go backwards, because that will kill you as an author. That will kill you as a writer. I just keep going and I'll get it in the next edit. And if I think of something back on page 3, I just put a note into the manuscript, go back to the beginning and fix X, Y, Z. And I just keep going. I don't stop. And that's how I edit as well. I don't go back. I just keep going through it and going through it and going through it. And that's when it gets really, really good. The book gets really, really good with the edits. And the great part about the Truitts is that each time I get to kind of focus on her from a human perspective, and then also the like as she's evolving as a human being and going through the steps of story like anyone else would, right? And then the concepts from quantum physics play into that, and so in, you know, the first book, it's just all about understanding how quantum physics works. So that's just an underlying thread in there because it's her favorite thing, right? So I just gave her the obsession, just like it was my obsession. That's, I believe all authors should be writing about whatever they obsess about. And then the passion just is natural because you're obsessed with it. So, and then, you know, as it goes through, then, you know, it's, the second book is more on quantum entanglement and how we're connected, how we can be connected millions of miles apart, right? Multiple dimensions apart. So that whole notion that energetically we're all connected. So that's the big thing that's in book 2. And then book 3 is about mostly about time and how time works and what infinity means and what Einstein's time loops. And
can we just go there with this, because I love how passionate you get, and this was my next question was, can you talk about the equation of imagination, which is the title of the book? You know, time.
Yes.
It's fascinating, and I think time has become more precious and our perception of time is altering. So can you speak to that? Because it's definitely the time for this book.
Yes. It's really interesting. I remember talking to a friend, my friend Wendy, years ago, and she was on a road trip with her son, and she was driving along the 95, which is a freeway that we have here on the eastern seaboard, and she was, as she was driving, she was having these memories and these moments through her life, and I said that's time travel to me, because wherever your mind goes, if you have a memory of being somewhere, you're there, right? You're there. And to me, that's sort of earth time travel, right? And so I wanted to explore that concept more. And I also, one of my favorite books ever and a big inspiration for the Truitt series was, oh gosh, the title just escaped me for one second. Einstein's Dreams. Einstein's Dreams.
I read that. I can write that down.
Yeah, Einstein's Dreams. Alan Lightman. That's why I said light. Alan Light. Alan Lightman. It talks about how when we go through life, and life is about making decisions and about making choices. And when we make big choices, or we decide not to make choices, I'm going to marry him, I'm not going to marry him. What Einstein was saying from a quantum perspective is, don't worry about it, because you did. In one stream of time, you're married to that person. In another stream of time, you're not married to that person. And wherever your consciousness is where you're at, which is like, that's just very.
I get it. And you can tap into it as you want to. But people, that just blows your mind, doesn't it?
It blows your mind. And for me, I went, oh my God, I don't have to have any regrets, because in some time and space, I am doing that thing. Right?
It's like sliding doors, isn't it?
Yes,
and so many people put so much on themselves to make a choice and regret choices, and or you know what I mean, and miss things. But you actually don't, because
you don't. It's happening. It's happening. And you can take your consciousness there, right? That's just focus. Right. That's just focus, as we could say in energy, and a little concentration, as we say in the Truitt Skye, the tagline of Truitt Skye. So the equation for imagination is what really starts the whole series off, because this is what her father, Ian, is working on as this way to help human beings run an equation that's you're all electroded up and stimulated while you're watching videos of what you want. So if you want to be really good at playing poker, not to encourage gambling, but it's just a good example. You would see yourself winning poker hands over and over and over, and maybe even learning how to count cards, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the notion of the equation, so that it speeds up the human consciousness to make it a new habit, right? Like I always say, habit is the kryptonite of creativity, because if you just keep doing things habitually, you're not going to break out of that. So if you always take your walk in the morning, take a walk in the afternoon, and see how your mind is blown. It's just the little
shifts things, doesn't it?
Just shifts things. And you don't have to shift it now, go every afternoon. No, just mix it up a little bit. Don't always. So, but if you want to really focus on something almost to the degree of willing it into being, then you
Yes.
would run the equation for imagination. And so it's really to help humanity live the life of their dreams, to live the life that they imagine for themselves.
And in that, like we've been talking about the power of the pause. We're actually writing the book on it as we speak. But in that pausing and visioning this and willing it into being, isn't that what we should be doing for things we want to experience in life?
There are actually people that sell programs that you can create. Like there's this woman that runs something like Money Movies or something like that I saw. And I was like, oh my God, that's the equation for imagination. That's the notion of it, right? And so, and really what happens when the humans run, when we run the equation for imagination, you're taken to another time and space, right?
Yes.
And wherever your imagination is in that moment. And so we get into that, and then Truitt really realizes. Well, I'm not going to say that because that's a total spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Anywho, so
no spoiler alerts. All right,
that's the notion.
I could talk to you about this all day, Adrea, because this just, guys, you're getting to know the story behind the stories, and you should read these stories and see how Adrea uses the genius of her knowledge and brings it into story. It's just it's done so really intricately that it's just like you can just get lost in the story and that's it. But you will pick up. You know, there's no way that you can't pick this up in your subconscious mind, and it will have a positive effect on your life.
Yeah,
it will come back to you.
Truitt's holding your hand because she's you, right? She resists everything. She resists and resists, just like we all do. Like, oh, come on, like no, or I don't get it.
Every time we go to do something for Truitt, she messes something up, like she'd mess around with electronics or something, like even messing up the release day. No, I want to be released on May 1st because this is a special day. Can you explain how May 1st is aligned with this book launching?
Yes. Well, I said at the beginning that, a lot of my inspiration for Truitt, definitely for the world that is the city on the sea, came from my time in Hawaii, and which was the most magical time of my life, and still is. I'm the best version of myself when I'm in Hawaii, and so and I loved all the traditions. I still love all the traditions, and Lei Day is a day where you make leis for your friends. So you go out and pick plumeria, typically, which is a beautiful flower, very fragrant. I'm wearing tuberose today, which is a little bit more rare. You wouldn't necessarily pick it, but and you give people that you love a lei. And there's luau's, and there's big dance celebrations. There's this huge parades. It's this wonderful day of celebration of love and friendship. And my favorite review that I got about Truitt came from someone that said, when I finished the book, I felt like I had just been with an old friend. And isn't that beautiful? And that's exactly, I want Truitt to be everybody's best friend. She's my best friend, and I want her to be everybody's best friend. And that's, and she is.
She'll walk with you through life and help you.
Yeah, people think I'm Truitt, but I'm not really Truitt. But a lot of people say, no, you're Truitt.
There's a lot of you in there, you created her. She came through you. So
yes. Yep. So I hope everybody enjoys it. And now it's a trilogy, so you can get all three and go boom, boom, boom. And I know that there's been some people waiting a while for it locally here. I've been asked many times for it. So that's nice. It's really nice.
You want to know what happens. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Can we officially celebrate the launch of Truitt 3 into the world, the full circle moment of the trilogy being finalized, and letting these beautiful book babies go out into the world and find their way? It's just beautiful, and I cannot wait to see the reviews coming in. They're going to be good.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited and so grateful. Thank you, my dear.
Oh, pleasure. Guys, go and get the book. It's on all of the platforms, or go to MMH Press or KMD Group Bookstore. Bye, guys. Thank you, Adrea. Amazing interview.